Hi Broken Arrow, welcome to this edition of Take 5. I'm Jennifer Sweezy, the Communications Manager, and I'm here with Kurt Poole from the Utility Billing Department. How are you doing today, Kurt?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me today.
Good, thanks for being here. It's summertime, so we know that our customers are using more water this time of year, so we wanted to just come on and talk about why that is. Why are people using more water in the summer? It seems obvious, but a lot of factors come into play when it comes to billing. So let's talk about that, summer versus winter, and some of the things that affect billing different times of the year.
You bet, and I'm glad to kind of go over that. So we do have customers that give us a call this time of year because they do see a spike in their bills. That is generally related to sprinkler systems, swimming pools, watering the yard, kids outside running, with the water faucets running, and things like that, that typically we don't consider that would have that big of an increase, but those have a huge increase with people's water bills and things like that. And so with the way that we bill the billing cycle is about 30 to 45 days in the arrears, so by the time you get that bill, you've kind of forgotten about, hey, it's raining now, but last month I was using my sprinkler system to water my yard when it was 90 to 95 to 100 degrees outside.
Right, so what does an average bill for the average family in Broken Arrow look like? We know that a lot of different services are billed on the utility account each month, so some things are set rates every month, and then some things like water and sewer fluctuate. So what's an average summertime versus maybe a bill in the winter? What does that look like?
So, a typical family of 5 that just uses normal water consumption with showers and bathing and laundry and things like that, you're looking at an average bill of about $80 a month.
Just for the water portion?
Well, that's everything, the consumption, of all base fees and things like that.
Okay.
Because that's what a lot of people don't take in consideration is we have a lot of base fees outside of just water consumption, which is your street lights, storm water, your trash service, and then also the sewer. And so all of those combined into one with your water consumption is about $80. When you start adding in sprinklers, swimming pools, different watering and things like that, that can jump up to about $150 to $200 a month. So you're looking at almost doubling your bills just by adding that extra sprinkler system and swimming pools and extra water activities that you normally wouldn't use on a normal basis.
Okay, and what does that look like as far as gallons and the volume of water?
So that's a good question. So a lot of people were getting bills where it's a 10,000 gallon increase to 20,000 gallons. Well, most swimming pools are about 20,000 gallons. So when they see that, they think, well, I've got a swimming pool leak out in my front yard. Well, a lot of people, what they don't take in consideration is for sprinkler systems, you can use almost 1,000 gallons per hour. And if you're watering your grass for an hour to 2 hours 3 times a week, that could be 3,000 to 6,000 gallons just in, 3,000 to 6,000 gallons in 1 week.
Right.
And when you take that over 4 weeks, you're definitely increasing your water consumption. So it all depends on the type of sprinkler head you have. Sometimes those sprinkler systems, if it's not maintained, can be leaking and be using more than what it's actually water in the yard. So there's a lot of things to take in consideration with sprinklers. And then also we've seen where customers have thought they had it programmed at a certain period of the day, and somehow it's defaulted back to another time. So it actually was running twice in a day's period, and they weren't aware of that. And we actually was able to provide that information where they could go back and track it and fix that and actually correct it on their side.
Great. So there are some tools, speaking of homeowners, that they can use to track and time if they do have sprinkler systems. Is that right?
Right, and so we have AMR meters, and then we also have analog style meters, which looks like kind of like a speedometer on a car. The AMR meters, we have the capability of pulling that data and being able to see how much water was used. It can actually give us by the hour, and we can see how much water was used by hour. And so, but without having that graph, the customers can actually go out to the meters and take the lid off of the meter base, and they can turn their sprinkler system on and watch that AMR. And they're solar powered, so you have to shine a flashlight on it to get it to activate. And as you watch it, it'll actually tell you how many gallons you're using per minute.
Wow.
And so as it's going through that cycle, you can look and see if it's using 20 gallons an hour or a minute, or if it's 200 gallons per minute. And so that's one way that customers can actually take that and use that resource to themselves instead of having us to go out and pull a graph to give that data.
So the AMR CURT stands for Automated Meter Reading, correct?
That is correct.
And we are about 3/4 the way through installing those in the city?
Correct. Yeah, we're about three-fourths of the way through there, and we should have everybody else completed probably within the next year and a half.
Okay, so let's talk about what people should do, what our customers should do if they have questions or concerns. We know a lot of people go online and have comments and questions and concerns, and a lot of times those comments are on pages the city can't or doesn't monitor during the day and 24/7. So what is the best place or way for a customer to reach your team?
That's a good question. So, ideally we would like all of our customers to give us a call. They can reach us at 918-259-8409. And we are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and we would be glad to talk with anybody, go over their usage and their consumption. We have some different common leaks and things like that could cause more usage if you don't have a sprinkler system or the pools that we've talked about. So we can help guide you and give you those resources to be able to help identify those areas and things like that.
Okay, so if somebody does call in and has a question, you're able to monitor their history and usage back over the last year and compare if this summer looks like last summer.
Right, so we actually have consumption history that we can actually see back from basically the start of their account, whenever the account was created. So we actually have instances where we've been able to provide data for customers that went back to 1989 and actually gave them the consumption, because they don't, like I said, it's kind of hard to remember what you've done, last week, much less 5 years ago. And so we were able to go through and show them that, this is historical data, and you are able, you have used this type of water consumption in the past.
So we've talked about leaks being a possibility, but not very common probably, and sprinklers and different summertime activities affecting your usage and your bill. Is there anything else, any other factors that could affect changes in bill or volume amounts?
So we've kind of talked about leaks a little bit, but the main thing is same thing with like the sprinkler systems. You don't realize how much a small leak can actually use. So a pin drop leak that leaks for a month can use up to 20,000 gallons in a month. And so if you have that toilet that constantly runs and you've got to jiggle the handle and things like that, I would encourage the customers to get those fixed as soon as possible, because that's literally water just going down the sewer, and it can have a big impact on your bill. Same thing is with hot water tanks. There's a downfill for that, where if it's leaking, it'll actually go down the drain. You can't really see it until the hot water tank actually busts or something, and then it goes in your garage or wherever. But hot water tanks can be a main culprit as well. So if you don't have sprinkler systems, you don't have pools and those things, and you do have an increase, the main thing is to start checking is leaks, outdoor spigots, toilets, and hot water tanks and things like that. So other factors that can go into play with higher bills, not necessarily consumption. For the last 2 years, we have had a rate increase, so a lot of customers try to compare their monthly amount of what they pay compared to last year. Well, we had a rate increase, so it would have a little bit of a spike due to the rate increase. Can say that that on average could increase $5 to $10, depends on what the usage is and things like that. And then also in addition is the sewer rate. We take a winter quarterly average for our sewer rate.
Okay.
And so what that basically is we use the winter months, 3 months out of the winter where normally people aren't watering their yards and things like that, and we take an average, and that's what you pay for the sewer for the remainder of the next year. That way you're not, in the summertime, you're not paying sewer rate for water that is actually sprinklers and swimming pools that aren't actually going down the sewer, so it gives you a more realistic charge for the sewer compared to your water versus what's actually going in the yard and in the swimming pools.
Very nice. So Kurt, you mentioned billing cycles and how those can change each month. Is that based on the number of days in the month, or how does that work?
So we have what we call 4 billing cycles, and so everybody is assigned a different cycle within the city, and so everybody has a due date that's the set Wednesday of the month. And so a couple times a year there are obviously a couple months that have 5 weeks in the month, so we're not able to bill for that, so we have to skip a week, and that can cause a bill to be a little bit higher because we bill on a 35-day billing cycle versus a 28-day billing cycle. So that's adding an additional 7 days to what your bill would normally be, and that sometimes more than likely is around the summertime. Is usually in June or July is when we usually get those 5-week months.
Okay. So we talked about some ways that homeowners can watch their usage and watch their meters, and if they have sprinklers, they can use different tools to time that. Talk about the graphs that the city has, and I think we can put one on the screen during the video. Is that something you all use very often when customers call in?
So we can provide graphs for the customers when they call in. Currently, we're not able to obtain that information remotely, so we actually have to go out to the residence, pull that information, come back to the office and download it. So there is a cost associated with that, but in the event that for some reason there was something wrong with a meter and it's an error inside the city, then absolutely there is no charge for that. But with that cost, what we will provide is a graph that will, as I stated, will show you what your history has been for the last 95 days, and it will actually break it down by hour as well, and can show you when the water was used, and maybe that will help identify what's using the water.
That's great. Well, that's all the time we have today. Thanks for being here, Kurt.
You bet.
Thanks for telling us a little bit more about the billing operations and how the water bills change during the different seasons of the year. We hope everyone is doing well, and we'll see you around town.